Shut up and sit down.
What's up, everybody, and good morning. It's the semi-original guy here, aka Mr. Cannon on Advance Wars by Web. I'm here to bring you a brand new replay of Advance Wars by Web on a match that I recently played in the league against a gentleman named Dustlord. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at the player profiles. Alright, so as we can see, I have an official rating of 1,016.23, 210 wins, 179 losses, 11 draws, currently ranked 269 in the league, with a maximum rating ever achieved of 1,077.4. My opponent, Dustlord, has an official rating of 939.01, 125 wins, 112 losses, and 2 draws, currently ranked 416 in the league with an official maximum rating ever achieved of 1,050.28. So fantastic maximum rating so far. Alright, so today we ended up playing on a map called Serenity. So very interesting map here. I do enjoy it quite a bit. It is a 3 base, 1 airport, 1 comm tower, and some ports. Ports aren't really too important because they're not really going to be doing too much. I think the entire time I've been playing on this map, I've only seen 1 black boat be made randomly. I did actually end up ferrying some units, so it wasn't too bad. But mostly it's going to be air units and land units on this map. We also have a comm tower here, and the HQs are in the center. So the center is going to be very important, mostly because it is fairly far away from all of your bases. Now, let's go over the CEOs that were chosen for this match here. So both players ended up picking Von Bolt for this one. So Von Bolt, as we know, gets 10% attack, 10% defense as their day-to-day for all their units. So he's a fantastic CEO, very safe pick in general, right? So his Ex Machina superpower does an area effect missile that will do 3 HP of damage and stun the units that it hits for 1 turn. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the match here and take a look at what happened, because this will actually show you a pretty neat strategy on what you can do on this map to get a quote-unquote quick win. So let's get right into it here. So first turn, all we do is build some infantry. Second turn, we're just moving those infantry in. Now, Dustlord ended up going up with his infantry. I ended up going to the side with my infantry to capture the port. But you'll see that that port is not really a real capture, right? Because I actually end up moving my unit over to move towards the base. So we'll just skip ahead here. All right, so first off, we got 2 infantry heading up here to try to grab these 2 properties. Dustlord also has a couple infantry on the left-hand side here, capping some properties. And he's got 2 guys going towards the center. And I pretty much have basically the exact same plan going on here. The only difference is I'm actually going for this airport. So the airport is going to play a very important role, which you will see. Alright, so this is the first important move. So I go to capture this city because I know he's moving in to capture it here. But I also build a tank because now this tank is able to cover this infantry if he decides to attack. Alright, so we'll see how Dustlord actually responds to that on day 5. So he does move in to capture the city down on the right-hand side, moves in to capture his comm tower as well. And he's moving down also to try to grab this right here. So he ends up building a tank in response to my tank up here. Now, my tank right here, my plan is to basically not fight with this tank. I'm going to be trying to use it for zoning the entire time. So I bring it down, plant it on the shoal here, and mostly just moving in with a bunch of infantry here. Build another tank on this side. So I built this tank on this side because my plan is I want to try to put it right here. Because my ultimate goal is to get 2 tanks in the center, right? So very important. So watch what happens here. Okay, so by moving my tank down here, I forced Dustlord to not be able to push up any further than just 2 squares as well. So he's being very cautious here. He ends up building an artillery down here on the left-hand side too. Alright, so now that I know the combat might start soon, now I start capping my comm tower as well. Alright, so instead of, moving this guy into a position to attack something, I move it into the center. So now I have zoning on all of these properties right here. So in my mind, very good place to have your tank. And I built another tank up here to also guard these infantry here. So currently at the moment, my plan is I don't really care about any of this stuff on the side here, right? I'm looking at all this stuff in the center, because that is where the majority of your funds will actually come from if you can cap all that stuff in the center. Okay, so Dustlord, I'm pretty sure that he made a little mistake here. I don't think that he meant to do this necessarily, but he ended up moving his artillery unit up, and then he left it actually in range of my tank. Now let's just take a quick look back here. So this is also another thing that you probably should try to avoid if at all possible. So he built a tank in the middle before he actually moves all his units. So not necessarily a great move there. You should probably wait until you move most of your units before you decide. Because what could have happened is instead of building a tank right here, you could have built the tank here, which would have ended up guarding this artillery unit right here. But instead, all he was really able to do was build a mech, right? So he does move his tank down here to guard the airport. Mostly, I guess he's just trying to get a little bit more range up here too, right? So, I mean, not necessarily a bad move. But day 8 rolls around, and it doesn't really look like I'm doing much of anything right now, right? But I have secret plans. So I moved 2 of my infantry in the center. I go down and take that shot at that artillery unit also. Alright. So as I say, you shouldn't build units before you take all your moves. I end up doing it anyways. But I had a plan with this guy, right? So this battlecopter is very important towards my ultimate goal of the map. So essentially what I've done here is I've tried to wall his units off here so that he can't reinforce the middle with any of the units on this side. Now he does get a couple shots in. Alright, so he positions all his infantry in a diagonal line right here, and he's also got a fairly strong front right here. Now, might look like there's not really too much going on, but there's a master play in mind here. Alright, so I use all these units and the battlecopter to take out the 2 infantry that were blocking my tank. Then I move my tank into the center, sitting firmly on this property. Now, this is great because now this guy can effectively stop these tanks, or this tank right here, and the Battlecopter can also effectively move in. And I also moved my second guy right here. Alright, so we'll skip ahead. Mostly just infantry moves right here. So I built another tank up here just because I know he's got a little bit right here, and I want to try to block him off on this side as well. So that the only reinforcement he could possibly get would just be from the middle. Alright, so he ends up moving all his units down here into a little defensive line, which at this point probably should have pushed them to like where the HQ is to make sure that you protect that, because pretty close to something bad happening here. So day 10, so this is the move that basically finishes it here. So there is a sequence of attacks that can be done right now, or sequence of movements that can basically guarantee you the match, right? So I've already taken the center, and I have a lot of units up here, and I also have like lots of air units around also. So some people might, end up doing like lots of attacks this round, right? But I choose not to, right? So I move my Battlecopter in. I do take one shot. I move my infantry down, so now this infantry is in range to cap the HQ. I've effectively blocked off this side. And now I move my tank down to block off the HQ. Move my second tank down to take out that infantry. And I move down to cap a couple properties, moving the infantry into position. Now for funsies, basically on this point, I'm just taking a couple shots over here. Build another tank over here, just because I don't necessarily know if this is going to work, but I'm 99% sure it's going to work. Right? So, day 10. Dustlord takes a couple shots, and then he ends up resigning. Okay, so very short match in general here, but there was a reason why the resign actually happened, and I'll show you what my next move was going to be from here. So, we have an infantry moving down to capture the HQ. 2, 3, 4, 5. So this guy was going to sit right there, block off this Battlecopter from attacking. This Battlecopter was going to sit right here. This tank was going to sit right there. This guy probably would have started capturing that property. This guy would have moved right there. I probably would have just capped this property just for the sake of it. This would have switched here. This would have moved here. So I already had capped this property. So he probably would have taken an engagement right here. This guy would have moved here. Yeah, so this would have happened also. So I would have moved this guy here. Would have moved this here. I would have deleted this unit. And this guy probably would have taken a shot at this. Would have taken a shot at that. And I mean, the rest of it doesn't really matter. But essentially, this is what it was going to look like, right? So HQ would have been begin to be capped, there would have been no way to break that line whatsoever. And the HQ would have been capped, and the match would have been over on day 12, I believe. So all in all, that's a really good way of, how you can sort of effectively win this match. So the thing to take from this is probably like avoid your engagements on the side if you can. Head towards the middle, cap as many properties as you can, get your presence in there. Because the more you can hold the center, the higher chance you have capturing the EQ, right? So, yeah. All in all, great game. I'd like to thank my opponent, Dustlord, for playing. And, yeah. You all have a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.